Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I am filming from a different place today. I'm actually back at my mom's house for this week and I am babysitting my sisters. So if you see a couple videos from this location, that's why. Today's video is going to be a continuation of my Disney review video that I just put up recently. If you guys watched that video, you heard me say that I had some Disney horror stories to tell you guys, and I'm going to do that today. There are two of them. I just want to put out a disclaimer before this video that I don't dislike Disney in any way, shape, or form. I absolutely love it, and I'm going back in October. It is a magical, beautiful wonderland. And I'm 23, almost 24 years old, and I still absolutely love it. So this is not a hating on Disney video. This is a just video about unfortunate circumstances at Disney that I ran into. The first story is gonna be more of like your typical Disney bad experience, and the second one is a little bit more out of the box. So if you're more interested in the second one, you can go ahead and click the timestamp in the info. I will link both timestamps down there. Otherwise, let's get into the first story. This story actually takes place in Magic Kingdom, and it was the very first park that we went to at Disney. So this was the first day that we did any of the main 4 parks. We actually did a water park on the first day when my family was not yet there. So this was like the first theme park we did. We at the time, backstory, we at the time did not know how the fast passes worked. We didn't fully understand it. We thought that you could only book 4 fast passes a day. And if you've been to Disney, you know that you can actually book 4 fast passes, say in the morning, and once you use them, that slot reopens and you can book another fast pass. But we were not aware of that. We thought that we were limited to 4 a day. Very important information to know when you're listening to the story. Just thought I'd give some backstory on it. So we were doing the fast passes wrong in the first place, but we had 4 booked for the day at Magic Kingdom, and we had spread them out throughout the course of the day. The second one we had was the Haunted Mansion ride. And when we got to Disney that morning at 9 a.m., we did notice on the Disney app that it said that the ride was closed down. And if you don't have the Disney app, this is not sponsored. I'm just saying you should definitely get it because it tells you all the wait times for all of the rides, and you can keep track of your fast passes that way, and you can actually see what rides are broken down or whatever. And so we could see on the app that the Haunted Mansion ride was not working, and this was at 9 o'clock. So we knew we had a couple hours before our fast pass, so we didn't really think much of it. We went and did a bunch of other stuff, and then come 11 o'clock, we started heading that way. And unfortunately, when we got to the ride, it was closed down. There was a man at the gate. He asked us what time our fast pass was, and we told him 11, and he said, okay, if you come back, we will honor it later in the day or whatever. But like I said, we didn't fully understand the fast pass thing. So we actually ended up canceling our fast pass for the Haunted Mansion and booking the Jungle Cruise for that evening. And this was while we were at lunch, and it had already been another hour and a half, and the Haunted Mansion was still closed. So we were pretty certain that they weren't gonna reopen it that afternoon at all, and we were just gonna wait until the evening. So that's why we rebooked that fast pass. We didn't wanna lose the fast pass, lose it, even though we wouldn't have. But so after lunch, we saw that the Haunted Mansion was opened again, and there was a huge line, and they said I think the wait time was 2 hours, but we all really wanted to go on it, and I had never been to Disney before. There's some really weird noises, and I'm not liking that. So like I said, I had never been to Disney, and I really wanted to go on this ride, and so we all were like, okay, whatever, we'll wait. And we were kind of hoping that we could have them honor our fast pass, but of course we had just canceled it. And so we decided, okay, whatever, we're just gonna wait the 2 hours in line. As you know, it's Florida, it's hot, it's actually miserable. There is a cover over the line where the Haunted Mansion is, and they were actually blowing hot air on us. So we were even hotter, and just standing there and just being we were all really grumpy and whatever, but it's part of being at Disney, is waiting in line. So we were we're just gonna suck it up and we're gonna wait and go on the stupid ride. We wanted to go on the Haunted Mansion. Sorry for that clicking, that's the heat coming on and it's obnoxious. So we wait about an hour. We're probably halfway up in line. It's pretty accurate, the wait times. And they suddenly announce that the ride has broken down again and everyone starts to file out of the line. So we're pretty upset at this point because we've been waiting so long, but whatever. So we get out of line and we went into something else. I think we went into like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. I don't fully remember. And then about an hour goes by and we get word that the Haunted Mansion is open again. So we decide, you know what, we're gonna try again. We get there again, the wait time is like 2 hours. And we're like, you know what, we're just gonna do it because we all wanted to get on this stupid ride so badly. So we get in line and once again, like we're waiting, it's super duper hot. It was still like the middle of the day. Luckily, we had gotten to do other things that day. We weren't just waiting in line for Haunted Mansion, but it still sucked because we lost already like an hour and a half waiting before. So we're in line and we were talking to the people in front of us and they actually were in the same boat as us. They had waited earlier as well and kept coming back and wasting time in line and it kept breaking down. And so we get all the way to the front of the line. If you have been on this ride, you know that you weave through the little courtyard out back of the Haunted Mansion and there's like the headstones and all the stuff that makes music and the sound effects and all that stuff. We weave through all of that. We get up to the point where they take like a group of 10 people into the Haunted Mansion ride. And we're so excited because we're right there. The door opens and the girl comes out and she looks at us and says, "I'm really sorry, but the ride has broken down." 2 hours on top of the hour and a half that we've already waited the first time, and the ride has broken down again. And my mom was so mad because we had just wasted so much time. But anyway, that's not just the reason we were mad. The other reason we were mad is because the Disney employee that came out informed us that the ride was closed down. My mom started to tell her about our fast passes. So did the people in front of us. We were saying all this stuff and the girl looks at us and goes, "You're actually not even halfway through the line." Again, if you have been on this ride, you know that not to be true, that once you're at the front and you go into the mansion, you have the little intro and then you're pretty much at the ride. It's not like a tremendous wait on the inside of the ride. So she was trying to make up this whole thing that we were nowhere close to the front of the line when Brandon, who had been to Disney many times, in fact knew we were at the front of the line and we were the next group to go in. So there was a little bit of a scuffle and eventually my mom actually got us additional fast passes. The girl apologized and gave us fast passes. But we were not the worst people. We had other people that were freaking out because the ride had just been intermittently breaking down all day and people were really fed up with that. So we got other fast passes and then later on the ride reopened. We used a fast pass on that after explaining our situation. They let us switch it to Haunted Mansion and we got on the ride and while we were on the ride, it broke down. It broke down while we were backward and pretty much upside down. And if you've ever been on the ride, you know there's like a point where you're like leaned way back in the doom buggy and the ride just like broke down. So there was that. They fixed it while we were on it and we got going after like a couple of minutes, but still, like it just blew my mind how many times this ride broke down. And I'm sure it happens all the time there. Like these rides are continuously running year round, like hundreds and hundreds of times a day, and I get it. It just was like the worst luck in the whole world. So that was the more like what you would expect story. Like this stuff happens a lot. So that was the first one. But my second one, this is the second story and this is a good one. So this one happened the next day. We were at Animal Kingdom and my family actually left early and just left Brandon and I to have the afternoon at the park to ourselves. And we decided to we went to a show, we were just kind of roaming around the park. We had already gone on the rides we wanted. We decided to go and get a snack. And there are several little snack places around. It's like quick service meals. So we went to this little shaded area. There was like a cute little snack shack and then there was a area off to the side with tables and all these like tall trees covering it. It was really hot that day, so we were like, this is perfect, it's nice and shaded. There was a bunch of other families sitting there. One of them had like a little baby and that's important later. And there was other groups of people sitting there. And so we got our French fries and we sat down in this shaded area off to the side. The wind picked up about 5 minutes after sitting down. We hadn't been there very long. And the trees above us are swaying like pretty hard. The wind was actually decently strong and everyone's just like eating normally. And all of a sudden I hear this like cracking noise. And this piece of like the tree falls onto the table next to us. And the only way I can describe these things was they looked like the bottom like pieces of a wind chime, like a wooden wind chime. So as I'm editing this, I went to Google search what the wooden wind chime pieces would look like, and I come across an actual wind chime that is sold in Animal Kingdom. And so now I'm wondering if maybe the park people hung these in the trees and they were falling with the wind, and everything makes a lot more sense now. So I think it actually was wooden wind chime pieces. But anyway, we'll continue with the story now. The actual chime pieces at the bottom, I don't know the official name for that. But that's what they looked like. And they were hollow, but they were really, really thick. So the force of them as they were coming down off the trees was really, really strong because of how far they were falling. And one of them cracked over the table next to us and broke in half. And Brandon and I stop what we're doing and we just look and we're super confused and look up at the trees and we're watching like the trees like sway, and Brandon's like, what is that? And as he says it, another piece comes down and hits me on my forearm. It actually broke over my forearm, and I can only describe it as though like somebody took like a stick like this thick around and just whacking you in the forearm with it, like directly onto the bone. It really hurt and it instantly started bruising. And I'm just in shock at that moment because these things are falling out of the trees, like out of nowhere. I have no idea what they are. Brandon's like, oh my God, are you okay? And as he says that, another one falls and hits me over the head. And it's probably like comical for you guys to be thinking about this in your head because it's kind of comical with me thinking it. But it was like so painful. Like I saw stars when it hit me over the head, and it broke. It broke after it hit me on the head. And it hit me like right on the top of my head. And I instantly I had like so much pain there, like a super like bad headache right there. And I just like was dizzy for a minute and couldn't believe that whatever was in these trees like was dangling over this seating area where there was all these people. So we got up and like ran away, and so did another group next to us. They both like got up and like ran away really fast because nobody wanted to get hit with these and the wind was still blowing pretty hard. So we went outside of the area where the snack bar is, and I saw a Disney employee just kind of standing, and I think he was meant to like direct people around. So I went up to him and he was a little bit younger. I would say he was like 18. He was super young for a Disney employee, I feel like. And I go up and I just told him what happened. And he just kind of like deadpan, like looks at me and goes, well, like, are you injured? And I was like, no, not really injured. I said, I'm not bleeding. I said, I'm gonna be bruised and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a bump on my head. And I was like, I don't know what kind of trees those are, but the wind is blowing these pieces out of the trees and they're kind of harmful. And the guy just like did not know what to say. You could just tell that he just like did not care. There was like small children in the seating area. Like I said, there was people with an infant. So had that fallen and hit a small child, they would have gotten way more hurt, I think, than me. And I feel like parents would be super angry if their little toddler got hit with something out of the trees in an area where you were supposed to be. It wasn't like we were in some area that was like roped off. It was a seating area for eating. This kid, he just like didn't really seem to care, and he was like, well, like the most I can do is like tell you to go over to the medical services building and have them check you out. And he was like, I'll just like let someone know that this was happening. I just had no faith in this kid. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I don't think you're actually gonna go up and say anything to anyone. And it was weird because if you go to Disney, if like you've ever been, you know that the Disney employees are just so above and beyond for everybody. And this kid was just he wanted nothing to do with it. So there was that. So those are my two stories, and they're not really like horror stories. They're just kind of like unfortunate circumstances and happenings at Disney World. But like I said, I still love it, and I'm just gonna avoid sitting under those trees next time I go, and all will be great. So thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below if you've ever had some unfortunate things happen to you at Disney World or any other amusement parks. Make sure that you give the video a thumbs up. If you like my videos, click the bell down below to be notified when I upload a video, which is, I just love that feature, don't you? Make sure you subscribe also. That's a good thing. Please subscribe. Thank you guys. I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye.